What's up, everybody? It is Jake back at it again. Took a day off to just clear myself, chill, regain my energies. So right now what I'm going to do, this probably won't be too long, but knowing how long it takes to read stuff, this might take a little bit. I'm not too sure. Basically, it's one of those like lazy days. It's cold. I'm not really trying to do much today, so I was like, hey, I might as well come on here and give you guys something if I'm able to. So, like I told you guys, I've been reading this book, the Lightbody book, and it's really helped. And I'm about to be done with the light bodies, but I thought these would be very beneficial to you guys because we're all in different stages right now, and within these light bodies, I feel like it can kind of give people some clarity as to like where they are on their path. And I thought that these were very helpful. These have really helped me in the last couple days. So thought I would share it with you guys. So all right, let's get into it. Okay, so activation. In March 1988, all of what we call light workers were activated to at least first level light body on this planet. On April 16th, it's my birthday, 1989, the entire crystalline structure of matter and every inhabitant on this planet was activated to third level light body. Now, this is not an optional process. Everyone is experiencing this. Lots of people are leaving the planet because they don't want to do it in this lifetime. You can choose to do this process in any lifetime you have ever had, in any parallel reality. So, don't feel that we're losing people. It's okay. They're just not prepared to do it in this incarnation. So, first level of light body. So you have an activation to the first level of light body. Now when this happened, for most of you, it was as though a light bulb went off in your DNA. It's time to go home. That's what it feels like in the body. It's time to go home, and there's a sense of elation that comes up from the body that's just wonderful. At the same time, the body said, time to drop density, and most of you had a very good bout of the flu. Much of what's going around right now that people are calling the flu, we call mutational symptoms. When your body drops density, it will tend to have headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, acne, rashes, anything that is a flu-like symptom. Muscle aches, joint aches are very common. And if you remember back to March 1988, there was a flu epidemic. It was a light epidemic. Very interesting. Current human genetic scientists have called 99% of the DNA junk because we don't know what it all means. In fact, human DNA holds bits of genetic material from every species on Earth, plus genetic material holographically encoded with the collective experience of all of humanity and the experiences of your holographic grid of incarnations, as well as bits of genetic coding from the sentient species of 383 ascending planets across 5 local universes. Your DNA also holds latent encodements for mutating your physical body into a light body. Only about 7% of the genetic encodements were active before March 1988. Then, in the first level of light body, Spirit activated a series of these latent encodements by infusing a tone/color sequence. These newly activated encodements signaled your body to begin a mutational change in the DNA and a profound alteration in the way your cells metabolize energy. You measure light body levels by the ability of your cells to metabolize light. The marker for this new cellular activity is the amount of adenosine triphosphate in the cells. Before light body activation, the energy for cellular functioning came from an energy production and storage system which shuttles energy back and forth between adenosine diphosphate and adenosine triphosphate. ATP is an energy storage compound found in the cells. Within the mitochondria, food is converted into energy for the cells, which is then bound up in the ATP. ATP has a chain of 3 phosphate groups which projects out from the molecule. When an ATP molecule loses its outmost phosphate group, it becomes an ADP molecule. The breaking of the chemical bond releases energy for the cell to carry out its functions, such as creating proteins. ADP can again become ATP by picking up some energy in a phosphate group. ATP and ADP lose and gain phosphate groups to release and store energy for cellular functioning. This is a closed system of biological energy, ensuring aging and death. No new energy is gained. When the light body mutation was activated, a series of latent DNA encodements lit up and began to give new directives to the cells. One of the first instructions was to tell the cells to recognize light as a new energy source. At first, the cellular consciousness didn't know what to do with this information. As the cells were bathed in light, the mitochondria began to fully absorb this new color/tonal activation and produce lots of ATP in bursts. The cells had not yet absorbed enough light to stabilize the phosphate bond, so the ATP broke down very rapidly into ADP, and cellular metabolism was dramatically speeded up. Accumulated toxins, old traumas, and stored thoughts and emotions began to flush from the physical body and created flu-like symptoms. The physical form in its old manner had separated brain functioning into right and left hemisphere functions. Also, the pineal and pituitary glands are atrophied, about the size of a pea rather than the size of a walnut. On activation, brain chemistry begins to change and produce new synapses. Second level of light body. In the second level, the sixth-dimensional etheric blueprint begins to be flooded with light, and it begins to release the fourth-dimensional structures which tie you into karmic experiences across all lifetimes. As a result, you may begin to feel a little disoriented, along with having more bouts of the flu. You probably will find yourself lying in bed saying, "Why am I here? Who am I?" It might have gotten an inkling that there was something called spirit in your life. Now we'll also define another term. When we use the term soul, we are talking about the differentiated part of spirit that experiences through your physical body. When we talk in terms of spirit, we are talking about that part of you which is undifferentiated and totally connected to the source. Which ties into what I've told you guys about the difference between spirit and soul, which I learned in alchemy, that kind of supports it. So in the second level of light body, you are releasing fourth dimensional structures which begin to change the spin and the geometries of your emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. You are beginning to change very rapidly. Most of what you are experiencing is strictly physical, and you may feel very tired. Third level of light body. In the third level of light body, your physical senses become outrageously strong. The example we use is the smell of that old piece of garbage stuck in the garbage disposal is driving you crazy from upstairs. Everything may seem incredibly tactile. The chair you're sitting on or the clothes you're wearing may be terribly distracting because they feel so sensual. Often people rediscover the joy of sex in third level light body. That's why there has been a rise in pregnancies and births since April 1989, when the planet and her population were activated to the third level. Everything that is happening is very centered in the physical body. It's beginning to open up into what we call a biotransducer system. Your body was designed to decode and work with higher light energies as well as transmit these energies to the planet. As part of the game of separation, these functions atrophied. The magnification of the physical senses is the first sign of the awakening of your body as a biotransducer. Undifferentiated light from the oversoul pours into the fifth dimensional axiotonal lines. From the axiotonal spin point interfaces on the skin surface, the fifth dimensional axial circulatory system begins to form. The axial system then extends into and activates the spin points in every cell of the physical body. Whereas in the first and second levels of light body, the physical body was being bathed in light now, in the third level, each cell has light focused directly into it through the axial system. The mitochondria usually recognizes this light as food and produces more ATP. Because the cell is receiving light as usable energy, less of the ATP turns into ADP. As the axial system feeds energy from the oversoul into the cellular spin points, the spin points produce sound and light frequencies which change the atomic spin of the cell's molecules, especially in the hydrogen atoms. As the atomic spin in the ATP molecule increases, a new functioning emerges. The 3 phosphate groups forming the stalk of the ATP molecule begin to act like an antenna for undifferentiated light, and the symmetrical head of the molecule acts like a prism, breaking down the light into subtle color spectrums usable by the dormant DNA encodements. Before a light body was activated, the ribonucleic acid, RNA, in the cells acted as a one-way messenger. It carried directives from the active 7% of the DNA to other parts of the cell for execution, such as what proteins synthesize. In third-level light body, the RNA became a two-way messenger. Now it took light broken down into usable color frequencies by the ATP antenna prism back into the DNA strands. The dormant genetic encodements gradually awaken with each successive light body level and give their information to the RNA, which transmits it to the rest of the cell. It's much like the new CD laser technologies on Earth. An enormous amount of information can be stored on one disk. Imagine that a vast amount of information can be stored in a color range of red, and vast amounts of data can be stored in a blue spectrum. A red laser beam is run across the disk, and all the red information is now able to read, but you still know nothing about what is stored in the blue spectrum. You run a blue laser beam over the CD, and now all of that data is available. The light color frequencies read the DNA in much the same way. Until the color spectrum is transmitted, you have no idea what's in there. Each light body level has its own color/tonal signature. In this way, spirit achieves a gradual mutation of the physical body. The one-way DNA to RNA information transfer in the ATP-ADP energy cycle were closed systems ensuring entropy. Nothing could change except to decay. With light body activation, new, fully open systems can develop, making infinite energy and infinite information available to the body. A dialogue between your physical body and spirit has begun. In the first 2 levels of light body, you can still reverse the entire process because the ATP and RNA have not gained this new functioning. At the 3rd level of light body, it is a continuing mutation that you cannot stop. That's why when the indigenous population of this planet and the planet herself were activated, they were activated to the 3rd level of light body, so the process couldn't be messed with quite simply, which is pretty cool. Also, in that activation to the 3rd level of light body, a set point was created between this planet and all the other planets that are ascending out of the physical plane so that you are all in sync. It isn't just that this planet is ascending. The entire dimension is ascending, and so is the entire astral plane. There will be no more physical and astral planes when this is done. This entire process is something we call an in-breath of the source. In our model, the source, which is the point, all that is, or God, manifests as in-breaths and out-breaths of creativity. Very slow out-breaths and very quick in-breaths. A light worker once asked us why it takes billions of years to densify a game to this level of separation, and yet we're turning the whole game around in 20 years. Imagine that you are the one, and you decide to explore the myriad possible facets of what you are through levels of progressive individuation. It's like stretching a rubber band. As you achieve more and more individuation, the rubber band gets tighter and tighter and tighter. Well, there's a point when it has stretched as far as it can. You have separated the maximum that you can from your oneness, and the tension is tremendous. So you turn around and let go of the rubber band, your separateness. What happens? You look back to your oneness very quickly. You shoot back to your oneness very quickly. On this planet, you have a game of separation that has now completed every possible permutation of relationship and interaction you can have. Every karmic relationship that you can explore has been explored, and when that happens, you begin the in-breath. This game is over. It's time to go home. What we term light workers are people who are here as transition teams to assist in this process of light. That's why you're here. Some of you have been here for the entire cycle. Some of you are assisting in setting up this particular game and have decided to stay and see how it would work. If you were to look at time linearly, you're sitting out across linear time and across all parallel times, activating, turning into light. A planet does not ascend in an instant. It ascends from the moment of its creation. And that's why so many of you took on so many lifetimes here. Others of you are showing up to assist now, and that's okay too. 4th level of light body. As you transition into the fourth level of light body, you begin to go into what we call the mental stages. This begins a massive change in your brain chemistry and the electromagnetics of your brain. At this point, if you have regular crystals in your etheric body, they may become very uncomfortable. You may start having cluster headaches, seizures, chest pains, blurry vision, or your hearing may go out. These crystals keep lines of light within the fifth dimensional blueprint from making connections, just like electricity. Chest pains are something you may experience throughout the light body process because your heart begins to open at deeper and deeper levels. Your entire vision and hearing apparatus begin to alter as parts of the entire vision, as parts of the brain open up. A whole different functioning starts in at that fourth level of light body. The hemispheres of the brain want to begin to start firing across both hemispheres at the same time. And if there is something stopping that, it can feel really yucky. Most people begin to feel some electrical stuff going on in their head. You may literally feel electrical energy running across your scalp or down your spine, which I can relate to that because I've told you guys I'll be in meditations and then I'll see blue and pink like electricity, like energy is shooting through my brain and just like changing the structure. And then sometimes I'll almost see my head open up like a robot, and then I see Arcturians and them like working on me. So I can kind of relate to that. Okay. You may have your first taste of nonlinear thinking, which can be either delightful or terrifying. You begin to go through a mental shift. The mental body is beginning to say to itself, gee whiz, maybe I'm not running the show here. Usually about the fourth level of light body, someone shows up in your life saying, the prime directive is to follow your spirit without hesitation, or something similar. Suddenly the mental body gets the idea, gee, maybe something else is in control of this because I am sure not. And it begins to shift how it views itself and begins to get a little uncertain about what's real and what's not. Your spirit begins to put through much wider, vaster pictures of reality or patterning through your energy bodies. In the fourth level, you get the inkling that there is a spirit. Suddenly, you get impulses from areas you didn't before, and you're thinking that maybe you should start following those impulses. Your mental body is screaming, wait a minute, what is this? It starts trying to retain control over the world, and it's pretty uncomfortable because it's getting an inkling that everything is changing. Everything it has defined as real is beginning to shift. You may have flashes of telepathy or clairvoyance. Just about everybody gets empathy right around this time. And once again, the mental body tries to clamp down because it feels like the emotional body is opening. And of course, that's dangerous and it's going to get you killed, according to mental body rules. So the flashes of empathy can be very uncomfortable for people, and yet at the same time, it's exhilarating because you feel so much more connection with everything, a sense of I'm connected to things here. There are people here that maybe I've known before. I know you from somewhere. Gee, you look familiar. And you begin to get an inkling that maybe there's a purpose to you being here. And I feel like a lot of people who are like starting to go on this journey or who are starting to practice this stuff, I feel like that's a majority of a lot of people. The people who are newer. It's not like if you're new to this, you're going to start automatically at the first light body. Everyone's different, but I feel like if you like coin yourself a light worker and you search for this information, you know that there's more out there. I feel like you're at this or maybe the fifth level. Okay, so the fifth level. At the fifth level of light body, usually the mental body says, maybe I'll try to follow spirit. I don't know if I buy it, but maybe I'll try it. And it starts that process of looking for clues. And I was there about 2 years ago. That's where I was. A person often begins to have some flashes of themselves doing other things. Often your dream sequencing begins to change. You begin to remember a little more of your dreams. Some people open up to lucid dreaming in the fifth level. At some points, a person can feel like they might be going crazy. Amen to that. Because they may be beginning to experience nonlinear thought processes. Suddenly, rather than having to look at something in this nice set fashion, they are cognizant of the whole, the nonlinear thinking. And then the mental body says, wait a minute, I can't control this. Can we survive and do this? So it is questioning what is happening. Is there a spirit? I think there's a spirit. I better figure out whether there's a spirit, because otherwise we're all going to die. That's crazy. You get a lot of the survival patterning coming up out of the mental body. So it's kind of like your ego in a way. So the mental body begins to shift the way it moves, and it begins to drop patterning out. A part of you is just like a little child saying, yeah, we're going to light. Yeah, we're going to light. And you're so happy. And then you have the mental body, just an old grump. And you get to see the two halves of yourself. Wow, I get to make a decision here about what I want to do. You begin to become aware that you are more than you thought you were. When that happens, the mental body says, oh no, we are not, and slams down, but then it opens up again. So you keep going through this process of feeling like you're opening and closing, opening and closing. It can feel a little manic depressive. What your spirit needs you to do is to get your mental body to surrender its control so that you can become an active embodied spirit on this planet, fully conscious on every dimension. Also, in the 5th level of light body, you begin to become aware that a lot of your pictures about the way things aren't yours. You begin to become aware that, oh dear, I'm doing this just like my father. My father was picky and I'm acting just like him. Wait a minute, that's not my energy. Or, my child just knocked over the milk and I'm screaming at her just like my mom screamed at me. That's not my energy. I don't want to be doing this. This is not what I want to be doing here. You become aware that you contain entire pictures of reality that are not yours. And you begin the mental sorting out process of who am I, as different from those around you. Everyone holds within their energy fields the entire picture of the way things are, from their parents, grandparents, siblings, and lovers. The entire picture is updated continuously. As you become aware that these structures are contained in your fields, you can feel very closed in by them. Because here you are. You can feel all this change going on in your body, all this wonderful stuff, and at the same time, you feel like you are in a glass cage. All this change, and you are so contained by these pictures. So you start that sorting out process. Well, I'll take some of this. I'll take none of that, a little of that, and a little of this. And you begin to become more and more aware of your energy, what is truly yours. When you have a thought or a picture about something, you ask yourself, am I just running my father, or is this me? It can be a little scary to someone when they first look in the mirror and they say, oh no, I really am turning into my mother. I swore I would not turn into my mother. But you find that you get to a point where those pictures of reality begin to shift out of your fields. 6th level of light body. In the 6th level of light body, you are actively, consciously shifting reality pictures out of your field. At this time, your spirit is usually putting you into contact with people who are working with the light body process. For example, we're all starting to work together. I'm on here helping you guys. You guys are searching for me and other people, other YouTubers, other people who are helping out. So we're actively forming our social groups, I guess you can say. Maybe spirit is throwing books at you off of shelves. Have you ever had the experience of being in a bookstore and having books fall at you? You may have those at any time. It's one of the favorite ways for a spirit to say, read this. You begin to get other information, other pictures of reality. You begin to take in vaster understandings of your own reality and how you operate in them. Often in the 5th and 6th levels, you have experiences of things not being solid. In your meditation, you may look down and sense that your hand is not solid, or you have one of those odd experiences where you put your hand against a wall and you feel the wall give in. So you may be having flashes of multidimensionality, you may be having flashes of nonlinear thinking and feeling like nothing is real. Or I'm going to add to this, everything is real. I've learned to think in complete opposites all the time. That really helps. The Law of One, book 3, has been teaching me that. I've been trying to read book 3, but it's hard when I'm reading book 1 to you guys. I'm reading this book, book 3, book 1, and another book all at the same time. So it's kind of a big mess for me right now. But I enjoy it. It's a task I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, yeah, so you may be having flashes of nonlinear thinking and feeling like nothing is real. This can be a real shock for your mental body types out there who want everything all laid out in little nice lines. Suddenly you see the whole picture at once. Then you have to go back and make up how you got there. Some of you have experienced this extensively. The mental body begins to cognate very differently. A lot of people leave the planet in 6th level light body because it's extremely uncomfortable for most of them. Do I want to be here? Do I want to look at all this stuff? Do I want to be part of this process? A lot of people opt out. That's okay. They are doing this process in another life. They don't have to do it in all of them. Generally, if we can assist someone to survive the 5th and 6th levels, they're home free. If they choose to not opt out of the planet at that point, they will usually stay and work with the entire process. Be kind to your fellow human being, Even if it's someone who's not going through this stuff, if it's someone who, everything you believe in, they just aren't buying, be kind to them, It's the greatest thing you can do. This is a very painful stage because this is the stage where the entire sense of identity is restructured. When you run into people on the street, and many of you will, you may be asked, "What are you doing? You look so wonderful." Give them the information that the planet is going to light, that we are in an ascension process. If you want to know more about it, here are some books you can read. Here are some people you could go see. If you need to talk about it, here's my number. Support those around you. Usually at the 6th level of light body, you go through a re-evaluative state that is extremely uncomfortable. Do I want to be here? Do I want to live? Do I want to play? It can be pretty severe. You hate your job, you hate your life, and you hate everybody and everything all at once. I was there for sure. I had that where I literally just cut myself off from society, and I was like, I hate this. I hate this 3rd dimension. I hate being here. I hate all these people and all this stuff, and I just want to go home. But we all go through that, and if you were in there right now, I can tell you it gets better. It gets much better. You kind of have to go through that in order to learn to love and be content with everything. You really have to. In the 6th level, you find that lots of people begin to leave your life. This is the time when you're likely to change your job, get married, stop being married. All of your friends may change, your entire sense of purpose changes, and there's a sense of learning to not be afraid of change. If you freeze up, this level can last for up to a year and can be very miserable, which that happened to me. But most people learn fairly quickly to relax and let everything flow around them. New people come into your life who are far more in alignment with what you're here to do than you've ever had before. You're all here in work groups. Those people you're here to work with. These clearing away of those in your life who are there for karma or out of a sense of obligation can be a little bit scary. But if you take a deep breath and say, I wish you well and have a nice life, I'll see you next time, you'll find that the people you're here to be with will quickly come into your life. This amps up the whole thing and it begins to be fun, which I think you have to make this fun in order to survive this. Usually between the 6th and 7th level of light body, you experience what we call a dissension of spirit. This means that a vaster part of you who are in the upper dimensions comes to reside in your body. That shifts everything around. You may feel like you've come through a tunnel. You come from a place of maybe there's spirit and maybe I'll try to follow it too. I know within every cell of my being that I am spirit in action on this planet. And that's how I wake up every single morning. I always try to make every morning positive. I always try to have that. I am spirit. I will do what spirit wants me to do. And I would think it would be in the light. Every morning I always try to do that. Okay, and you begin what we call the emotional transition to learning to be the vastness of spirit. About 1/3 of the light body structure is now lit up in the etheric blueprint. Many times you may experience yourself as radiating light, which is pretty exciting. Most of the time in the 7th level of light body, people's eyes change. You begin to see a deeper level of light coming out of people's eyes. And to me, it's like you're just seeing everything that you just learned about yourself. You see it in other people, and you really see how beautiful people are. You and those around you are beginning to cognate in a nonlinear way, and you begin to get flashes of telepathy. You begin to get flashes of communication on levels that you communicate on all the time but are unaware of. You have always been telepathic. I've been telling you guys that for so long. So now you have Archangel Ariel telling you that. That's awesome. You have always been clairvoyant. You've always been multidimensional. But your mental body and brainwave have been screening it out and away from you. So, the screens are dropping and you begin to recognize what's been there all along. Things begin to feel normal. There's a point where it's no longer a big aha. It's not the light bulb going off anymore. It's just, I am here. I am fully here now. You become a delightful dance that you play with your spirit. The entire planet and its population appears to be doing a strong re-evaluation. The polarization of energies is happening at more and more heightened levels. It's almost like the volume is being turned up. Planetary polarization is becoming more and more intense. You'll find that those of you who are beginning to live heaven on earth will exist side by side with those who are experiencing hell on earth. I wish to remind you that all beings are vast multidimensional divine masters. We ask that you learn compassion, and compassion is not being codependent. Oh, let me take care of you. Compassion is willing to do whatever is necessary to assist someone in taking their next higher step. That occasionally means kicking someone's feet out from under them. That occasionally means being a wake-up call. That occasionally means calling someone on their stuff. And it often means loving them for their wholeness. And I really want to touch on that really quick because there are so many people where they feel like in order to be spiritual and do all this, they take compassion and then they take like insane optimism and they make it one thing. So it's like they never call anyone out on anything. They're accepting of everything. They basically become, let me be the floor mat for you to walk all over. And because I am not calling you out or because I am not making a stand, I am being the light. And that's far from the case, I mean, this isn't saying be rude, push people, like make them you know what I'm saying? Nothing like that, but we all got to work with each other. And sometimes, most of the time, you have to get to places that you never thought you would by going through hard times. So I just want to point that out. I see a lot of people have this, I have to, never really have an opinion. I don't know how to describe it. It's just there's a difference between being compassionate and loving and doing what's right for that person versus just being like, as long as I'm open to everything, I'm perfect. And it's like, no, you're actually doing more harm for yourself. Just like what the Pleiadians have said. When Barbara Marcinek channels them, I really like something she said. She said, if you don't, I mean, I know you guys have heard this a million times, and I'm still trying to wake up, so I'm trying to remember all this. It's kind of like, if you don't stand for something, it's not that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I'll look it up, but it was very similar to that. It is in your divine right to make a stand. It is in your divine right to be that catalyst for other people if you have to, You got to look at it in that way. Okay, and it often means loving them for their wholeness, their totality, the parts of them that are awake as well as the parts of them that are asleep. Remember, they go into sleep with the first part of the mission. Honor those who have slept well. Many light workers have a fear of people who are asleep built into them. Begin to dismantle that particular piece of enemy patterning. You will naturally evolve it into a sense of service to spirit and a service to all life. It will be ecstatic. But understand how difficult this period was and is for many people. Look at the level of re-evaluation and you'll understand that why we call this level the one that, you'll understand why we call this level the one that determines whether someone will do this process or not. This is the place where a lot of people must bail out or get with the program. 7th level of Lightbody. In the 7th level of Lightbody, you begin to enter the emotional stages of Lightbody, focusing on deeper and deeper levels of opening in the heart chakra. As you open into the heart, a feeling of connection with the planet opens up. That feeling of falling in love with this planet, feeling like if I don't hug that tree, I just can't make it. I have to hug that tree. There's a playfulness that begins to open up at the 7th level of Lightbody. You become a little more childlike in the way you operate. That's for sure. At this point, if you've got blocks in the emotional body, they really begin to come up, because as you move toward expressing your divinity and your vastness, anything that blocks that vastness begins to release. Some of it's fun, some of it's not. It depends on how much of a stranglehold the mental body wants to keep. If the mental body is in sync, the release is usually quick and easy. You may find that you become far more emotional than ever before. And as you move through these levels, you find that your emotions become like a child's. When you're sad, you cry. When you're angry, you yell. And when you're happy, you laugh. You express ecstasy. You express whatever emotion is flowing through your emotional body in that moment. You begin to operate in the now far more than ever before. You see, in the karmic game, your mental body lives in the future. It's always living in the what ifs. The emotional body lives in the past, triggered by what you've experienced before. So you rarely experience exactly what's happening in front of you right now. In the 7th level of light body, you begin to experience the now. Enough synchronization has happened among your fields that you have begun to have long stretches of being fully in the present, and it feels really good. As the emotional body drops all of its old patterning, it may mean that you have to complete your relationships with a lot of people. Having dropped all those pictures of reality out of the mental body and now dropping the emotional attachments out of the emotional body means that your relationships with other people begin to change very quickly. In the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels of light body, your personal relationships turn into something we call transpersonal. That means they are not based on emotional attachment. They become based on whether your spirit is guiding you to be with that person at any given time. It's a very different way of relating. By the time someone is in the 9th level of light body, they are usually operating this way most of the time. Sometimes you may seem cold to people because you don't have the emotional hooks and there is no intensity. I can't manipulate you. I can't hook into you. People can get very upset. I can really relate to that. This is a natural part of the light body process as you shift from being in karmic relations into non-karmic spirit-based relationships. And I feel like that's why a lot of us have that issue with our family members, because we learn to operate kind of like in a more multi-dimensional way. So they don't get under our skin anymore. They see that there's nothing that gets in that affects us, and we're always going to be operating at the highest level of goodness and understanding. And so whatever comes our way, it's life is just, nothing's impossible and everything's okay. And we're so understanding. We leave people kind of what's going on with them, and they take different as a bad thing. So I think that's why a lot of us have issues with our family members when we awaken and they don't, because that's how it is. When it says, I can't manipulate you, I can't hook into you, it's people don't know how to go about around you anymore, So I think that will help a lot of you guys. In 7th level light body, the heart chakra opens to a much deeper functioning than it ever has before. Many people experience chest pains. It's probably not angina. It doesn't feel the same as a heart attack because it feels like it's the center of your body radiating outward. It's an opening of the heart chakra gateway. If you're in a meditative state and you want to go multidimensional, you can go right through your own heart chakra. So live in your heart chakra, and that is where you connect to beings and everything. It's through the heart, it's through love. That's basically what they're trying to say. On this planet, the heart chakra has a membrane in it, which we call the gates of Eden. You all know that lovely story about Adam and Eve being cast out of the gates of Eden. I love metaphors, so listen to this because metaphors are very helpful. You all know that lovely story about Adam and Eve being cast out of the gates of Eden, and there is an angel with a flaming sword so that they cannot re-enter. What this is a membrane in the heart chakra that prevents you from going multidimensional. It means that it keeps this game contained. None of the stuff that happens on the physical plane can get above the astral plane, so it can't affect anything else. Part of the way you do that is to close part of the heart chakra so that you can't have multidimensional experience. That membrane is open now in everyone on the planet. The heart chakra shifts in functioning, and it begins to open into deeper and deeper levels. You can travel into any dimension through the heart chakra. It is all contained within you. The heart chakra shifts functioning begins to take predominance over the other chakras. The way most chakras are portrayed is that they are conical, narrowing in the center, and spinning. Well, they are mutating too. First, they become spherical shaped and they radiate in all directions at once. Then, if the heart chakra takes predominance, it all begins to open up and the chakra system merges into what we call the unified chakra. It's a unified energy field. It feels wonderful. When you do something like the unified chakra meditation, you assist your light body process. Assisting that chakra merger also assists those energy bodies, the emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, to begin to merge. They merge into a unified field. In the 7th level of light body, those chakras are kicking into merged states that they haven't been in before. And you begin to become aware that when you have survival fears coming up or you have blocked emotions, all it means is that these fields have stepped out of unity. It's an illusion, even though it feels real. All you have to do is realign and re-emerge the bodies, and the fear drops away. And that's why I always, I do the chakra healing 2 times a week. And so for me, 2 times a week, it's like I don't really step out of line, basically, if I do that. Even though it happens. The chakra unification is really important for your growth in the light body because it allows you to handle any amount of energy, no matter how vast, through the physical form without any damage. The entire field holds it. You'll have points when you'll tap into a vaster part of yourself, and if your chakras aren't moving in a unified fashion, you will feel as if you've stuck your finger in an electrical outlet. It's like you only have wiring for 20 volts, but you just had 400 put through your body. When you utilize the unified chakra, you don't have that happen anymore. You can handle it at all levels. The pineal and pituitary glands begin to open up in the 7th level of light body, and you may experience a pressure on your forehead or at the back of your head. When the pituitary gland is functioning at its highest level, at the higher level, you will not age or die. So very often, about 7th level light body, people start to look really young. Their whole energy changes around their face and lines drop out. The pineal operates in a multidimensional way. One of the things reported in the sensation of an ice pick, of sharp pain right in the top of the head. Most of you have heard of something called the third eye. Well, there is something called the fourth eye, just at the top of your head. It's your multidimensional sight. It's located where the soft spot is, the place that doesn't harden all the way in most of you. For some of you, that eye opens easily. It's just your multidimensional sight, and it just does when it's time. For others of you, it can feel like it's trying to open, but it's hitting up against something. It may be a structure placed within the etheric body, and as that's removed, you'll find this eye opens up. You begin to have these rather odd experiences. You may begin to be aware of yourself in other dimensions or aware of yourself in other bodies on the planet, which is grand fun. We call these concurrence, which that's what I had, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's when that happened for me. Most of you have 12 of you in other bodies in this parallel reality, which I told you guys, because I connect to the parallel realities. I've connected to like 3 of them. But I guess in here it's saying we have around 12. So that's really cool. Most of you have 12 of you in other bodies in this parallel reality on this planet right now, living vastly different lives than you may be living now. You become a little more aware of yourself in other bodies. At first, when this happens, people think they are remembering past lives, and they might be. But more often, they are usually aware of themselves in the same parallel reality. A lot of you have some incarnations in dolphin and whale bodies, which I know Cryon talks about that. So you may have flashes of being in water or a fluidity of motion through and around your body that you've not normally had in a human form. Okay, 43 minutes. Of course, the dolphins and whales are other individually ensouled species on this planet. They are light workers too. They set up the group mind grids for this planet. In 7th level light body, most beings are operating pretty much 4th dimensionally in their consciousness. Not only am I going to ascend tomorrow, but I'm going to heal this planet. I'm single-handedly going to save this planet and all you poor dummies out there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to drag you all to light. I'm going to protect you from yourself and save you from your karma. And I'm going to save you from the dark forces. Beings in the 7th level light body usually have an identity of being a healer or an awakener or a person who saves themselves, others, or the planet. Actually, they are doing karmic monads. It takes a little bit to realize that so many parts of you are still existing in duality. You may be requiring that the planet or people be sick so that you can heal them. So think about that. Or lost so you can save them. Or asleep so they can be awakened. It requires that people not be fully functional, which is a good thing because that's how we ascend and get to where we are. In the 7th level, you are developing the knowing that all beings are vast multidimensional masters. They may be masters who are exploring divinity, or they may be masters who are exploring limitation, but they are masters nonetheless. Everyone is doing exactly what they wish to be doing, and they are fine. If a person has led a life where they have been constantly protecting and taking care of everyone around them, this is a deeply freeing revelation. Then it becomes okay to simply allow them their process. This is a time where most beings run an amazing amount of what's called spiritual significance and spiritual ambition. In the physical body, pictures of reality about being completely separate from God are held in deep states of shame or guilt. When people begin to access who they are multidimensionally and they haven't integrated the physical body, they try to deny its pictures of reality. Beings will often adopt spiritual forms and rules. They try to say, wear, and do all the right spiritual things. I love this. Eat all the right spiritual things and suppress or deny parts of themselves or others that don't fit their ideals. The mental body is accustomed to following forms and rules. It's trying very hard to find a form for following spirit. So they're trying to take this multidimensional thinking and make it in a linear way, which it helps sometimes, but not all the time. Spiritual significance is a mental body defense mechanism against feelings of shame and unworthiness held in the physical body. I'm spiritually advanced, and you're not. I'm one of the 144,000 rainbow warriors, but you're not. I'm going to ascend next Saturday, and you're not going to. I'm going to heaven, and you are not. Spiritual significance is by its nature exclusionary. Spiritual ambition is a mental body defense against feelings of guilt and incompetence held in the physical body. Beings who are immersed in this will often run themselves ragged, trying to manipulate other people to get with their program. Everyone has to be the best, the highest, the most advanced. Often, a difference of opinion or an implication that they don't know something is taken as an attack on their mastery. It is characterized by a nagging dissatisfaction and placing blame. I have this wonderful vision, and if you would just get with my program, I can carry out my divine purpose. It's your fault that I'm not living in heaven on earth. Your scarcity pictures are blocking divine flow. It's your fault that I'm broke. Why did you create that in your reality? Please deny what's going on with you so I can be comfortable. If you were more spiritually advanced, it wouldn't have happened, so you only have yourself to blame. Spiritual significance and spiritual ambition are strong ego defenses. In alchemy, you learn to completely wipe that out. As spirit reveals more and more of what you truly are as divine multidimensional masters, the mental and emotional bodies want to embrace it as personal truth by defining and attaching to it. The physical body is usually oblivious to the revelation or simply doesn't buy it. Everyone runs these defenses at some point in 7th, 8th, and 9th levels. It's normal, it's going to happen. In 7th level light body, many people fall into a pattern of spiritual manic depression. One minute they're declaring, I'm a divine multidimensional being, and the next minute they're proclaiming their worthiness. I can't do anything right. I do that sometimes when I get pissed, I will admit. I will sometimes be like, oh, this is amazing, thank you. And then 20 minutes later, something stupid can happen, and I'm like, oh, the universe sucks. So that happens. They are bouncing between the feelings of multidimensional oneness and the feelings of separation held in their physicality. The paradox of being so vast and also being in a finite matter-based body is nothing short of miraculous. Bouncing between the two extremes is an attempt to resolve the paradox. You can't. Try holding both poles at once. Allow both to be fully present. Toward the end of 7th level light body, or at least sometime by 9th level light body, People begin to understand this process and find living in the center of the paradox ecstatic. You started with following your spirit. When you're in the 7th level light body, there is the sense of catching up. You're beginning to operate from spirit in your everyday life. You find that you step in and out of survival fears. You have days when you're childlike and love everything and get along fine. But then there's other days where you're in the pits of fear and survival. You're feeling like there are two of you. You will find as you progress through these stages that the duality drops out. You find that you spend more and more of your time in a state of ecstasy, and you find you can function in that state. One of the major fears of the mental body through this transition is, if I become a multidimensional being, I will not be able to function on the physical plane. You find you spend more and more of your time being aware of yourself in other dimensions and other bodies on this planet. It's fine. It's all good. You can still function in that state. It just takes practice. You begin to activate. Your whole perception begins to shift, and in your meditations, you may experience yourself in other dimensions, which is what I did for you guys when I did that video that I labeled kind of weird. That's what I did basically. You may also experience yourself in other bodies on this planet. You may have flashes of being in simultaneous time where you are so now that you are all now. You are all nows at once. This is pretty exciting when it happens, because then you become aware of the probabilities and possibilities of everything that you do. You see all those lines of force heading out from you. You become more aware of your connections with other people and of how deep your connection is with spirit at any given moment. We have noticed often on that in the 7th level of light body, the overarching feeling is, I'm going to ascend tomorrow. I'm out of here. You are being hooked up to parts of yourself that are already in light body, parts of your future self, which I connected to the Shikani, so I'm going to try to channel them. That's the Bashar's people, like the future beings or whatever. I connected to them in meditation, so I'm going to try to channel the Shikani for sure. Okay. And what this does is facilitates you to get your act together. You quickly sort through everything in your life and you really find out what's important to you. Well, I'm out of here anyway, so I might as well do what I want. I might as well have fun. I might as well do what makes my heart sing. You'll learn what makes your heart sing, what it is that you really enjoy. When you shift into 8th level of light body, you find that everything makes your heart sing is directly related to your divine purpose on this planet, and that you're part of the plan. In 8th level of light body, you realize, gee, I'm not out of here tomorrow. I'm here for the long haul. You have a deepening sense of purpose and service. You want to do whatever it takes to assist this planet to light. All right, so let me see how many more pages it is for this, because I may not be able to finish all of this. I want to. Yeah, I can. Okay. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read for the next 5 minutes, and then I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to make another video, and that video isn't going to be that long. I'm on 8 of 12, so it'll probably be 15-20 minutes. We'll see. So I've only read up to the 9th, so I'm going to be reading stuff that I haven't learned yet. So, I don't know exactly what light body I'm on. The 8th and 9th are what the last two I read, and I feel like I may be somewhere around there. I'm not too sure. But what they were just saying, I'm not out of here tomorrow. I'm here for the long run, so I might as well have fun with this, and I might as well learn my imperfections while still trying to perfect myself spiritually in a way. That's what I've been saying to you guys. It's you can't put yourself on a pedestal and be like, oh, I'm going to be infinite light today and forever. It's you're still here in the 3rd dimension. You're going to have to live this life. So have fun with this. Enjoy all aspects. So no matter what you go through, it's all good, That's where I'm coming from. But not a lot of people say that. So. It's my no bullshit approach, which a lot of you guys have adopted. I really like that. I have so many people who've come to me and been like, I like your no nonsense, no bullshit approach to this. I'm like, thank you. That's really awesome. Anyways, back to this stuff. So at the 8th level of light body, the pituitary and the pineal gland, generally about the size of a pea, begin to grow and change shape. As they grow, sometimes you will feel pressure in your head. You may or may not have headaches off and on through this process. If you have a really bad mutational headache, understand that the you on the upper dimensions that is assisting you in this mutation cannot feel your physical pain. Excuse me. So they first thing, I think there's a typo here. I think it means so the first thing. It says so they. So the first thing they want you to do is say, yo, I hurt. Can we back it off here? I've never heard an angel say yo, so that's cool. You have to tell yourself on the 5th and 6th dimensions that it's hurting because they're not going to understand. Next, say, please release endorphins. These are a natural brain opiate that allows the pain to ease off. For some of you, you would rather have little headaches for a month and a half. For others of you, you'd rather have a big headache for 24 hours and get it over with. Find out what works for you, because there are points in this process where your brain literally grows. Your brain gets bigger. You may experience cranial expansion. We have seen people entirely change the shape of their skull, particularly as the pituitary and the pineal open and grow. Also, when your pineal is growing, sometimes it feels like someone has their finger between your eyebrows and they're pushing. You also may feel a pushing feeling at the back of your head as the pituitary is growing. As you transition into the 8th level of light body, there's an activation of what we call the seed crystals. These 3 small crystals receive light languages from the upper dimensions. 2 of the crystals are located over your eyebrows, directly over the pupils, as if you are looking straight ahead. The 3rd one is just below your hairline, in line with your nose. Alright, so I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to create another video. So, yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Alright guys, I will continue and make part 2.